Shalom and welcome to Practical Spirituality. The experience of Hanukkah is what we're in right now. So I'd like to give everyone that experience. Let's trip together. So I know most people think of tripping as something that you take some kind of a psychedelic. You're asking if there's a guitar around. Have you seen a guitar? You want to grab a guitar? Yeah, borrow a guitar. Try to grab the nicest one with a pick. So. When people think of tripping, they're often thinking about psychedelics and stuff, but you can actually access tripping without psychedelics, which is what we're going to do today. And we're going to do it in honor of Hanukkah, and you'll understand why very soon. So, first of all, a very big part of tripping, no pick, okay. A very big part of tripping is a very big part of tripping is, that's the first time I ever tuned a guitar while playing all the strings at once. But I was thinking, after enough years of playing guitar, I know more or less how those vibrations are interacting with the fingerboard open. So I just was listening. I'm like, does this sound like an open stringed sound? And just brought each string into what it usually would sound like. Who knows how I did, but I think I did good. I was just feeling the vibes of it. So one of the parts of, speaking of tripping, here's Rabbi Moses. Rabbi Moses is always tripping. It's la. צריכים להתפלל עוד פעם. עוד הלל צריכים. What time is it? He's doing chakras. I think Chatzos was 2 hours ago. So, anyway, no time like the present for prayer. And thank God we got this place. And these places are coming up everywhere now where people are just like, I don't know, it's just like this, there's this whole undercurrent of people who were raised observant who are just saying, to hell with it, man. We're going to make our own organizations, where, for example, where prayer can be whenever we start praying is prayer time, Zman Tefillah, prayer time. It's always prayer time, So, prayer time, Zman Tefillah, let's pray. So, part of tripping is to be in a timeless place. When people are tripping, for example, I was once at a Grateful Dead show in Northern California, and Jerry Garcia's playing this solo, and he's just flying. And I don't know how this happened, because we should have just been dancing, but my friends and I wound up in a discussion about whether he played this solo, is playing this solo, or will be playing this solo. And we're everyone's picking sides, and we're I'm like, no, he's going to be playing this. And the guy's, you crazy, he's playing it. And another guy's, no, he played it. And we're going, we could not figure out, in the middle of listening to a solo, whether it was being played. And by the way, everyone who said their side, that he is going to be playing it, we're all like, oh yeah, you're right, he is going to. No, he already he's playing. Anyway, but this went on for about 5 minutes, till finally the one guy who wasn't tripping was sitting behind us. I don't know what he was doing at a Grateful Dead show, because not tripping at a Grateful Dead show is you really feel like you're tripping, you're the only guy who's normal, which makes you crazy. Anyway, this guy finally stands up and yells at us. He's like, are you guys out of your minds? Are you seriously having this discussion? So it's outside space and time. Well, guess what? We're celebrating light. Well, how fast does light move? Light moves at the speed of light. Light moves at the speed of light. How fast is the speed of light? How fast is the speed of light?
To do that, you'll need to turn off airplane mode.
It's very fast. And speaking of airplane mode, I got to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So it's very fast. But guess what? The faster it goes, the slower the tick-tocks go. So check this out. If you're going like 5 miles per hour, so it's tick-tock, tick-tock. But if you go 5,000 miles per hour, it's tick-tock, tick-tock. We have Einstein to thank for this. If you're going 100,000 miles per hour, tick-tock, tick-tock. You're going 1,000,000 miles per hour, tick-tock. And then it just keeps getting slower and slower and slower until you finally hit the speed of sound. And at the speed of sound, meaning if you could take a photon of light and put a little like a Porsche chair on it, because you need a serious chair, sit on like a Porsche 911 chair, and bucket seats, it's all strapped in, harnessed, and you ride the photon at the speed of light. Guess what? No time passes. There's no time. There's actually a reality called no time, because at the speed of light, there is no time. Well, what are we doing here? We're celebrating the Hanukkah. And what's Hanukkah? The festival of light, which is just such an interesting way to celebrate it. But we're celebrating the victory over the Greeks, who believed in only this world. Like time is what it is, and this physical world, space and time, that's your limitation. That's where we're stuck. And they were all about the physical. They're all about the physical world. And we light that light. And that little light is sending out photons at the speed of light where no time passes. In a no time experience. Well, no time experience is the beginning of tripping. But let's take it much further. And the much further we'll take it is that the world is coming into existence at the speed of more than the speed of light. The world's coming into existence from absolute nothingness into somethingness. The world is coming into existence from nothing to something, nothing to something, nothing to something. Because before God created the world, Before God created the world, he existed in absolute nothingness. It was before he created the world. So before God created the world, he existed in nothingness, absolute nothingness. And then once God created the world, now there's something, right? Except what? What's the something coming from? It's coming from nothing. What's it made of? What's the something made of? Yeah, well, it's made of whatever. Meaning, if all there was God, what did God use to make the world?
Light.
Himself. He used light, but if all there is God, if all there was God, what did God use to create the world? He used himself. He used God. So therefore, so what is the world made of? So before there was something, there was God. Now that there's something, what's it made of? God. The whole thing's made of God. And here's the next thing. He's creating the world, something from nothing, perpetually at all times. So, and this is really important to get, that this classroom that we're in right now, this like physical world that we're in right now, looks like it's permanent. It looks like this looks like the same curtain that was here the day before. But it's actually being created into existence from nothing into existence at all times. Physicists like this kind of Torah because they know that the atoms are spinning in such a way that the whole entire physical world is a mathematical equation. When it comes down to the physics of it, the whole world is really a digital simulation, especially on the quantum, on the level of quantum of protons, neutrons, electrons, quarks, and gluons. Like the whole world is moving, and it's It's coming. It's the olam haba. It's the world that comes into existence from absolute nothing. Yesh is the world. Ein is where it comes from nothing. And nothing obviously makes nothing. So nothing makes nothing. So it's obviously more than just nothing. It's God. And God is the only being that can make something from nothing. And if you could make something from nothing, we'll call you God. It's never happened before. Never has anything come from nothing except for the creation that comes from nothing. So the world comes from the nothing that we call God, which is clearly some kind of consciousness. And you have consciousness. Everyone take a moment and just say the word yes when I ask you the question. Ready? Are you aware of sitting here listening to this session? Yes. What is that awareness? And the answer is consciousness. That awareness is consciousness. Are you aware of that? Everyone get aware of that. Okay. That's the awareness of awareness. And that's a great access. It's a very quick access to consciousness. Now, I see you guys already are starting to trip. I promised you we're going to trip today. So I see you're already starting to trip. You'll notice just by you saying, I'm aware of my awareness. Say, I'm aware, I'm aware. I'm aware, I'm aware. That's the beginning. And by the way, that's not a thought. It's not a thought. Think about this cup. Think about this cup. Are you this cup? No. No. So you have two things going on. You have your awareness and you have the thought of the cup. So you realize your awareness is not your thoughts. Now, stay aware while thinking about the cup. And it gets pretty cool. You start to realize, wow, I'm way bigger than that thought, right? Normally you get eaten by your thoughts. Your thoughts consume you, so your thoughts are bigger than you. In this case, you start with, everyone say, I'm aware, I'm aware. Which is fun. It's the same word twice, same two words twice. I'm aware, I'm aware. Say it again. I'm aware, I'm aware. I'm conscious. Now think about the cup, staying aware. You realize, wow. And now think about the cup and get aware of the sound of the siren. And stay with the cup. Stay with, obviously you're aware that you're aware. And now get the room, like this room's got like all kinds of stuff going on in it. But without staring at any specific thing. Yeah, stay on the cup. Don't think about anything specific. And if you're watching this on some kind of thing, and if you're not driving, go into that diffuse awareness of things all around you. And what you'll realize is that you're now aware of tremendous amounts of stuff. Because your awareness is a far better instrument of measure, of experience, than any scientific instrument that's ever been made. They've never made an instrument that could do what you're doing right now. Stay in there. Stay in there. And realize that your awareness is a far greater instrument than anything ever been made. And you're allowed to stay in the awareness. Everyone say, I'm aware, I'm aware. Aware. Stay in that awareness and realize how much more access you have. Because when you're stuck in thoughts, and thoughts eat you, so the thought's bigger than you, when you're in there, you don't have room for any other thoughts, because that thought's in charge. Your thoughts are thinking you. Right now, you're thinking your thoughts. And now you suddenly realize you have a lot more room in there, don't you? There's no anxiety here. Check out how your anxiety level is right now. Khil, you have any anxiety right now? Nothing. Well, there was a reason I was giving him a massage, because of what he said to me at the doorway. But notice it's gone. So when you're being consumed in your thoughts, and your thoughts are eating your conscious state, then of course you could have anxiety. But once you're in the conscious state, everyone take a deep breath, use breath. And now notice that when you're in this conscious place, you have a lot more room for a lot more data, a lot more input. You got a lot of room for data. And think, if you could hold this all the time, everyone's going to be asking you questions. You get that? Instead of you going around trying to find advice, which I suggest you do because we all need advice, but you'll start to notice people are coming to you for advice. You know why? Because they're starting to notice you got space for other than just thoughts. You got like big space. And so when people want to throw their problem into the system and you can let it like swim around in your conscious space, you know, you can quickly help somebody. You know, I had a person who recently did the Possible You seminar, which is coming up again. I didn't look at the date again, but I think it's January 6th. I'm totally guessing. Does anyone know when my seminar is? I think it's January 6th. You know when it is?
Oh, when it is? Oh, no.
Anyways, this guy did my seminar, and he asked me for a one-on-one because he's having social anxiety. And I'm like, when he asked me for the one-on-one, I said, didn't you do my seminar? Meaning, how could you have done the Possible You and you still have social anxiety? Because the seminar just kills social anxiety. So the guy says that he did the seminar and he's still having social anxiety. So he'd like to talk to me. So it turns out, it was amazing. It turns out, what's his social anxiety? His social anxiety is because he was accused in a public scenario, like camp as a kid, he was accused of being a bully. And because he had been a bully once as a kid, he was once a bully as a kid, and he decided like, wow, I'm all alone now. No one wants to talk to me. I'm like this hurt, isolated being. He decided from now on, I'm gonna be the nicest guy around. And just like totally randomly at some camp, he was accused again of being a bully. But meanwhile, he was being the nicest guy around. Now, here's the thing. There's a secret, I don't know what's kind of secret, there's a special situation that people can get pulled into that can last a lifetime. I don't believe it's curable, and that is when you're falsely accused. If you get falsely accused of something, raise your hand if you ever were falsely accused of something. You were falsely accused. So you see it, you everywhere? You see like a large percentage in this room were falsely accused. Once you're falsely accused, how do you ever trust the world again? To not, you understand? Like, what good is what you're presenting to the world if it can be thrown at, if it can be knocked down for something you didn't even do? You see, you didn't raise your hand, so you're like, this is who you are, and you generally like go through the world like that. If someone was falsely accused, whatever that thing is there to haunt you forever, because you can't, unlike everyone else, you can't manage the consensus about you. You can't manage the world's agreement about you. It's a very deep and sad situation. It happened to me. By the way, what?
You can't get over that?
No. So it happened to me. I was falsely accused of stealing when I was 16 years old. Even saying it's causing a chemical shift in my heart. They found the person who did it months later, but it was too late for me. And then I suddenly realized that anywhere I go, I'm like, I can be the one who stole it, or if something was stolen or not. So to this day, I can't walk out of a store without a bag, without products. I mean, if I forgot something in my car, I mean, I'm not OCD enough to go buy a pack of gum just so I can walk out with the product. But I can't walk out there without the guard, you know, if it's a supermarket, or the cashier's thinking like maybe he's got something in his pocket. Because he walked in, now he's walking out, he didn't purchase anything, so. You understand? So I, and everyone else who's ever been falsely accused, has to take that deep breath, up the front of their body. Let's do that together. Up the front, from the belly to the chest, to the throat, to the jaw, to the top of the head. Everyone blow out first. Let's breathe in. Start with your belly. Go. Chest, shoulders back, head, and then down your back. Down your back. Blow out, down your back. Let's go one more up the front. Open up your front. You know when a guy walks in all open to a kiddish, you know, he's like a magnet. Down your back. One more up the belly. Down the back. And everyone, as you're exhaling, say, I'm okay. Okay. And so even though this guy was a graduate of the Possible You, which means that he should have no social anxiety, which is what happens to the graduates. By the way, that was never the point of the seminar. It just turns out that it just kills social anxiety. But because he had this thing, it never goes away. But he had never learned the process of what conversation do I have to have in my head? And I was just in a store 2 nights ago. I had to go out several times, out the exit. And I did that breath. And I said, I'm okay. I'm not stealing. No one thinks I'm stealing. Get over it. And walk out of the place. But for him, his was social. He got called out publicly for bullying when he really wasn't a bully. And it was a big trigger for him because he was once a bully. It's amazing that it was exactly the thing that he fixed. So here he was proud of himself for 3 years straight that he had fixed something, only to find out he was nowhere. He was the bully. That he wasn't, obviously. And to this day, he hasn't been able to walk into anywhere publicly. And today, Mitzvah, we had our meeting, so Mitzvah, he's going to be, I'll find out soon how it works for him. But anyway, so what I was saying is about consciousness. Let's go back to it, okay? Everyone say, I'm aware, I'm aware. Ready? I'm aware, I'm aware. Now we're going to snap on 4. 1, 2, 3. Take a breath. Let's do it again. We're going to say, I'm aware, I'm aware. Go ahead. I'm aware, I'm aware. We snap on 4. 1, 2, 3. Let's go back to timelessness. Is there really time? Everyone ride the now. Ride the now. It's the only thing there ever was. You've never experienced time, not once in your life. You've never experienced future, you've never experienced past. The only thing you can experience is now. Can you experience a minute from now? Can you experience a minute ago? Only one thing you can experience. Now. So let's do that on 4. We're going to experience the now. 1, 2, 3. Just ride it. That's the future. That's the past. Just ride. Close your eyes and see the flame of the first Chanuka candle moving at the speed of light. Those photons hit your eyes at the speed of light. The photons move at the speed of light, where there is no time. It's timeless. Open your eyes. And now in this conscious state, are you limited to any one personality or any one way of interaction? Are you at all limited? Like, from this conscious place, do you realize that you are and can do, who you are can be adapted for absolutely any situation? So if someone, God forbid, was feeling grief, like, raise your hand if it's when someone's in grief, like real grief, you'd rather someone else goes and helps them, like, because it's like too much for you to deal with it. Raise your hand if it's a little much for you to deal with someone in real grief, like someone who's really fallen apart. Okay. Now go back to snap on 4. 1, 2, 3. Get back to awareness, consciousness. And who would you have to be there for that person? Obviously, you don't have to say anything to them. They're someone in real grief. You don't say anything. They're not listening. They're not going to hear anything. So, but who would you have to be to, like, comfort that person's heart a little bit, or the opposite, or help them really move all the way through the wave? Because right now they're in a deep wave. They're sobbing, and you're like, I can be there for that. And you start to realize, hey, I've got a lot more, what's a good English word for it? Tavach is Hebrew. I have a lot more versatility, range You're going to be married. Some are married in here. Raise your hand if you're married in here, married guys. Just the two of us. But you're going to be married. And with a woman, you need a lot of range. You need a lot of range. Right? She can be all 4 seasons in one day. So you don't know whether to bring an umbrella or a bathing suit. And most men are just like, they just want a shield. But that's not being the man for your woman. Open again. Open. Snap on 4. 1, 2, 3. And whisper the words, I'm present. And no matter what, you don't have to say this, but no matter what she's saying, I'm giving my full gift of love vibrationally toward her in my physical posture, in my whole energy is just my full gift of love. I hope she doesn't ask me what she just said, because I'm not even paying much attention to, I'm not paying any attention to the details of this storm system blowing through here. All I'm doing is letting her know that I can encompass any storm. You know, I got my sails high, and let's ride. And you'll just watch, the storm passes so quickly when you can contain what she needs you to contain in that moment. And the beautiful thing is, it's not sophisticated at all. For those of you who've been a little scared about when you get married, like, am I going to be sophisticated enough to deal with her emotions? There's no sophistication. It's called love. And you give your full gift of love, encompassing her storm. And the storm just blows by. And she's like, thank you for being my man. And you're like, I'm your man. You know? I wasn't actually even listening to anything you just said. Didn't even hear it. Don't say any of that part. Skip that part. Yeah, here comes another thing. No, but really, it is the answer. It is the answer. So now we're going to take this even further. And the further we're going to take, you want to just keep going further? Let's go. Yeah, you don't need drugs, guys. You can just trip like this. So let's take it a little further. The next stage is to realize that your soul, this conscious self of yours, is part of God. It's part of this infinite nothingness being. How do we know that? Well, we know it because it takes up no space and time. It's always been think about it, it's always been your conscious awareness. Yeah, what are you aware of right now? Everyone say now. What are you aware of right now? Now. What were you aware of an hour ago? Right, well, just keep saying now. The now of an hour ago. How about 2 years ago? What were you aware of then? At any given time, if I ran into you and I said, what are you aware of right now? What would you say? Now, and whenever you were 6 years old, what are you aware of? Now, have you ever experienced anything but now? Never in your life have you ever. It's almost a belief you have that there's something called time, because you have not had one personal experience ever in your entire life of time. Never. You have never experienced time in your life, not once. It's a belief you have. It's actually termed in like personal growth books. It's called, I think, you know who calls it this? Is that guy. Never stops quoting Jesus. You know, Jews just keep wanting to like throw the book out the window. Eckhart Tolle. You know what he calls it? He calls it psychological time. So he calls your experience of time, sorry, did I say the word experience? Because you can't experience time. He calls your concept of time psychological time. Psychological time. You got that? It's called psychological time. Because you never experience it. It's something that psychologically you know it, you had a past, and you know you're gonna have a future. You can learn from the past, you can plan for the future, but you have never experienced neither, nor. So the next step is, well, what is this consciousness that we're all aware of? Does it show up on a brain scan? No. Does it show up on an MRI? No. Has ever a scientist in the history of the world found it? No. Are they ever going to? So you might say, well, maybe someday. No. The answer is they never will. You know why they never will? You know how I know they never will? You want to know how I'm sure they will never figure it out? Because we're 250 years after the scientific revolution began. The Industrial Revolution, the Scientific Revolution. And anything that I would say at this point in history in 2024 that they haven't yet found, it's because they've made a lot of ground. They've covered ground. They've gotten somewhere. Tell me, how far have they gotten with this one? How far have they gotten in finding consciousness in the physical world? How far? The answer is nowhere. In fact, they don't even try anymore. To the point where, gosh, I never remember this guy's name. Who's the biggest atheist in London? He's like a big, outspoken guy. No. Dawkins, yeah, Richard Dawkins. When he was asked what were his 3 wishes, if he could have 3 wishes, his 3 wishes were it turned out to be the 3 kashas that every atheist can't deal with, the 3 conflicts that every atheist can't deal with. Those were his 3 wishes. A, where did the world come from? Because he knows before there was something, there was nothing. So how did the world spring out of nothing? B, how does consciousness spring out into humans? Meaning, how do we have consciousness? And the third one was, you'd have to know more about biology, but the third one was, how did organic life form? Well, it turns out that your consciousness, which is not physical, is from this same being that consciously created the world. So if you imagine the conscious being that created the world is like a giant bowl of chicken soup. Okay? Consciousness is a giant bowl of chicken soup. And now imagine all of you sitting here where your head has like a little, you ever eaten soup out of a bread? Like it's a big bread and they cut it and they hollow it out and they pour the onion soup into it. So yeah, you know, we're switching to onion soup. It's a giant thing of onion soup. And each one of our heads is like one of those little breads. And they cut it off, hollow it out. And then God just took a ladle and just went like, and you're inside, and this is the amazing thing. You want to hear something amazing? So like if I look straight across to Svi over there, and at you at the camera, I could look at you, but I'm looking at Svi at the same time. But if I look straight across, Svi, now go to that conscious place. Everyone snap on 4. Ready? Let's all go there. 1, 2, 3. And what you'll realize is that your conscious experience and mine are the same. You get that? Meaning we each have stories about our life. You have your story about your life, my story about my life. We have different bodies, different parents, different experiences. But when you go to pure consciousness, in our pure conscious state, there's no difference between us. If our brains right now were switched, nothing would be different. We would be exactly the same. So take a moment. Everyone snap at 4. Take a deep breath. Exhale on 4. 1, 2, 3. And realize that consciousness is common within all of us, exactly the same. It's all from the same onion soup. And from here you can love anybody. From this conscious place, you can love anybody. Why? Because it's our common humanity. We all share this. We're all these conscious beings. And so there's no competition there. And perhaps that's the words when God says, love your neighbor as yourself. God says the words, Ani Hashem, I am God. Which is a weird thing to say. Love your neighbor as yourself, I am God. But what is it really saying? Love your neighbor as yourself, I am God. I put the soul in you that everyone consciously possesses. I put it in you.
So the soul is God?
Yeah, the soul is it's actually called specifically in Kabbalah, it's called the chelik elaka mimal, a portion of God above. Now, of course, it doesn't have space or time, so so it's an interesting even thing to think about that God slices part of him and puts it in you, because it doesn't have parts. It doesn't have parts, which is why we feel it commonly, right? Did you feel that, Svi? That's why you and I have this common humanity, is because it's even though it's sliced, you got a little portion, I got a little portion. It's a chelik. A chelik of godliness that seems different, but is the same, which is probably why you're able to mentally telepath stuff. Like you have your own telephone just mentally, right? Raise your hand if you ever thought about someone and then they called you. Yeah, you all kinds of crazy stuff happens like that all the time. Weird stuff that keeps coming up. Some people have numbers come up all the time. I had uncommon names. For 1 week straight, I had uncommon names coming up over and over again. Uncommon names. So like this guy, meaning for example, a guy came to I forget who this guy was, some guy at my Shabbos table or something. I was like, what's your name? He says, my name's Morad. Morad, what is that name? Like rebel? Does it mean like rebellious? Morad? He's like, that's my great-grandfather's name, Morad. What, do you have a connection to the name Morad?
Yes, it's a Turkish name. I had it somewhere.
Okay, so anyway, the following day, my bike breaks down in the middle of the mountains. I'm nowhere near where my car was. I mean, and I was doing one of those pre-sunset rides where I get to my car right when you can't see the trail anymore. But I'm at the very furthest point, at the bottom of a giant mountain, and like way, way west of where my car was as well. So I'm at the bottom and as far away as possible when the bike breaks down. And there's no one around except like wild boar and like wild dogs and everything. These gorgeous, like giant wild dogs with these big golden faces all staring at me. Because I'm no longer moving so fast, am I? You know? And anyway, but this one guy just like was off-roading and got stuck, and it took him like a half hour to get his car back down, and winds up right with where I am. And I'm just like, hello, and he's like, yeah, I'll take you wherever you need to go. He brought me right back to my car, and I'm like, what's your name? He's like, Morad. This went on for a week straight, every single day. Every single no, it was always in pairs. And it was always a strange name. And so next time someone told me their weird name, I was like, okay, I'm waiting to hear them meet the next guy with your name. And it happened for a week straight. Now, here we go. Here goes the deep stuff. Ready? If it wasn't deep already, we're going to go deeper now. I know, isn't that weird? He knows a guy named Murad and where it comes from. It comes from Turkey. He just walked in, told us, and left. I don't want that. That was like a silly one. The whole name one was weird. Okay, let's go. Let's go back to the light. The light and everything in creation is coming from nothing. Yesh mi'ayin, yesh mi'ayin. Everyone say yesh mi'ayin. Yesh mi'ayin. Yesh mi'ayin. Now look around the room. Everything you see around you is the yesh. Where's it coming from? Ayin. Perpetually, at all times. It's strobing into existence. Yesh mi'ayin, yesh mi'ayin, yesh mi'ayin. Okay? What? Ayin. By the way, we're talking about ayin with an aleph, in case you're confused watching this. Ayin, there's also ayin, which is an I, that's with an ayin. It's a different letter. We're talking about ayin with an aleph, okay? Which means ain, but we pronounce it ayin when we're talking Kabbalah. So everything's coming into existence, yesh me'ayin. Let the siren be a trigger to get you back to that conscious state where you can like pull in everything together. Right. So now realize this. Everything you're looking at, everyone stay still because now you really want to get there. This is going to be the final part. Everything you're looking at is the yesh. Everything you're looking at is coming from the ayin. You're looking with your eyes, which is yesh. I mean, you're looking at the yesh. Your body's yesh, because, right? This is yesh. But what is the thing you're witnessing it with? It's the ayin. So you yourself are yesh me'ayin. You yourself are experiencing yesh me'ayin in your actual being. Close your eyes and realize that your conscious awareness of this moment, and this moment, and this moment, and this moment, is all the yesh, but your consciousness is the ayin. And you're now, right now, in the nexus of yesh me'ayin. Right here, right now, in the unfolding of finite from infinite, meaning the unfolding of the infinite into finite and back into the infinite, strobing on and off, whereas the only thing that's constant is you, your own true consciousness, which is the ayin within it all. Breathing quietly, eyes closed, exactly in the pocket of yesh me'ayin, because the ayin is you. Sit back there, like take a couch and put it a little bit behind to the back of your head, given that the front of your head is where your thoughts are about the yesh, and sit on that couch right behind the yesh, in the ayin, the eternal ayin, where you can sit and witness the yesh. Breathing quietly so no one hears it. You're on the cusp of the unfolding of reality. Mark this place so that you stay there throughout the day, throughout your life. Be that space that someone can add their issue that they're trying to figure out. They can add it to your mind, and you have plenty of room for solutions. Yesh me'ayin, yesh me'ayin. And now, before you open your eyes, get ready to open them without focusing on anything in particular, so that you can see all the yesh. Now, opening your eyes slowly. And stay on that seat, on that couch, sitting a little behind it, where you're not so involved with it, you're seeing it. What's interesting is that the Jews who possess this eternal light built buildings that when the Greeks saw them, they were just like how could they not be jealous of the construction that came from the geniuses? Who remembers there was a story with the destruction when this rabbi was inconsolable. He says, "Why are you crying over that building?" And he said, oh man, I can't remember what he said. He said something about, what was the words? Yeah, what did he say? It was something about the wisdom he achieved just from the construction of the building itself. Meaning that the architecture itself of the temple had caused so much. Oh, you know what it was? It was this. It was like the king had. What's that? It was a philosopher came up to him. Oh, was it Plato or something? Yeah. It was like Plato or it was Aristotle. I can't remember one of them, but one of them who was alive then came to him and said, "Why are you so unconsolable?" Now, he knew, by the way, that every problem he had ever given him to solve, he was able to solve it like that, meaning all the most difficult philosophical problems in Greek philosophy were solved in a moment when they brought it to the wise men of Jerusalem. And so he asked him, "Why are you so inconsolable?" He says, "Because all the wisdom that I have came just from the actual architecture. Like the actual building itself was how I got this wisdom." But as we said yesterday, that we are the rock that the builders can't stand. They just can't figure out where it fits. They're busy building, and we're busy with truth. And we don't want to talk about truth. Just shut up and move your forklift and get that bulldozer going, and let's get those rocks up onto the structure, and like stop with all your truth. And they just couldn't handle this. Because, and also, part of this light is the light of morality, of being good, and being good is that's where the conscience is. Because if you're not good, you have a conscience, and the conscience will plague you. And so, just like someone hates their conscience because it means they can't do whatever the hell they want, so society hates the Jews because we are the conscience of humanity. We are the conscience. I don't think you guys would like me very much if I followed you around a whole Shabbos and kept telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. Hey, don't touch that. Hey, don't. You'd be ready to kill me at the end of the Shabbos. So that's who the Jews are on this planet. We're the rock that the builders were. We're rock, meaning we're incredible builders. So we belong we belong on the world stage of the builders, but the builders can't stand our rock because our rock comes with morality and doing the right things. So let's spread this light. Let's make this consciousness that we experience as the Jewish people something that the world can be lit from, and that it can ignite the planet.